What if the real cause of your exhaustion, stubborn belly fat, brain fog, and constant hunger isn't simply getting older, but the fact that your body never gets a chance to switch into repair mode? That sounds strange at first, especially because most people were taught that eating every few hours is healthy. But what if that advice is actually keeping millions trapped in a cycle of high insulin, fatty liver, inflammation, and metabolic burnout without even realizing it? Right now, there are people walking around with fatty liver disease who have never touched alcohol regularly in their lives. And the scariest part is that the body can stay silent for years before the damage becomes obvious. The human body was designed to survive periods without food, yet modern life turned constant eating into a lifestyle. Breakfast, snacks, protein bars, late-night meals. The liver barely gets time to breathe. But the moment food stops coming in, something incredible begins happening behind the scenes. Insulin drops, fat burning activates, the brain changes fuel sources, cells begin cleaning themselves, and little by little, the body starts entering a biological state that researchers around the world are now studying for its connection to longevity, metabolic health, mental clarity, and liver regeneration. The fascinating part is that this transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens hour by hour, and some of the most shocking changes begin much earlier than most people think. Most people believe fatty liver only happens to heavy drinkers, but that's one of the biggest health myths of modern times. While someone drinks healthy smoothies, snacks every few hours, and follows what seems like a balanced routine, the liver may quietly begin storing more and more fat. The scary part is that the body often stays silent in the beginning. No dramatic warning signs, just constant fatigue, stubborn belly fat, brain fog, low energy, and that strange feeling of waking up tired even after sleeping all night. What many people call normal aging may actually be the early signs of a metabolic system under pressure. The human body was never designed to stay in a constant fed state all day long. Yet modern life keeps insulin elevated from morning to night, forcing the liver to process endless waves of glucose and stored energy. It's almost like leaving a factory running 24 hours a day without maintenance. Eventually, things begin to break down. Researchers now connect this pattern to insulin resistance, inflammation, visceral fat, and fatty liver disease. But here's where things start to get fascinating. The moment food stops coming in, the body begins preparing for a completely different metabolic state. And during the first 4 hours of fasting, subtle changes already begin happening behind the scenes. During the first few hours after eating, the body is still fully focused on processing incoming energy. Glucose from food enters the bloodstream, insulin rises, and the liver begins storing excess fuel for later use. In a healthy system, this process works beautifully. But when someone eats too frequently throughout the day, the liver barely gets a moment to rest. Imagine trying to clean a kitchen while new dishes keep arriving every 5 minutes. Eventually, the entire system becomes overwhelmed. That's exactly how fatty liver slowly develops in many people who never suspect anything is wrong. At this stage, the body primarily burns glucose for fuel while storing whatever it doesn't immediately need. The liver also packs away glycogen, which works almost like a backup battery for future energy demands. The problem is that modern eating patterns constantly refill that battery before it ever gets depleted. Over time, the excess begins spilling into fat storage, especially around the liver and abdomen. And here's where things get interesting. Once several hours pass without food, insulin finally starts dropping, and the body prepares to activate a completely different energy system that most people never experience anymore. Around the 4 to 8 hour mark, something subtle but incredibly important begins happening inside the body. Insulin levels start falling, and the liver slowly shifts away from storing energy toward releasing it. This is the moment when the body realizes that no new fuel is arriving anytime soon. To compensate, it begins accessing stored glycogen for energy, almost like opening an emergency reserve tank. Interestingly, this is also the stage where many people suddenly feel hungry, irritable, or mentally distracted. Not because the body is weak, but because it has become deeply dependent on constant glucose intake throughout the day. For many people, this phase feels uncomfortable at first. Energy may fluctuate, cravings can intensify, and concentration sometimes drops temporarily. But beneath those sensations, the metabolism is beginning to adapt in ways most people never notice. Hormones like glucagon rise to help release stored fuel, while the body quietly prepares for a far more powerful metabolic transition. Some researchers compare this moment to switching a hybrid engine from electricity to an entirely different fuel source. And once the glycogen reserves begin running low, the liver activates a process that changes everything, the beginning of fat burning and ketone production. Between 8 and 12 hours without food, the body begins entering one of the most fascinating metabolic states in human biology, the metabolic switch. Glycogen stores continue dropping, insulin falls even further, and the liver starts converting stored fat into molecules called ketones. These ketones become an alternative fuel source for both the body and the brain. What surprises many researchers is that the brain often performs extremely well during this stage. Some people describe a strange sense of calm focus, almost like mental static suddenly disappears. That's why so many individuals practicing intermittent fasting report improved clarity, concentration, and stable energy levels after pushing past the initial hunger phase. At the same time, the body starts increasing fat burning in a much more efficient way. Instead of constantly relying on incoming sugar, it begins tapping into stored fat reserves for energy, including fat surrounding the liver and abdominal organs. This is where fasting becomes far more than a weight loss trend. Studies on ketosis and metabolic flexibility suggest that this shift may help improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and support overall liver health. Even growth hormone levels begin rising during this phase, helping preserve muscle tissue while fat metabolism accelerates quietly in the background. And as powerful as this stage already sounds, the next phase unlocks something even more extraordinary: the body's internal cellular cleanup system. After roughly 12 to 18 hours of fasting, the body starts activating a process that sounds almost futuristic: autophagy. The word literally means self-eating, but in reality, it's more like an advanced biological recycling program. Cells begin scanning for damaged proteins, dysfunctional components, and metabolic waste that no longer serve a purpose. Imagine an entire city suddenly sending out cleanup crews to remove broken machinery and repair old infrastructure. That's essentially what happens inside the body during this stage. Researchers studying longevity and metabolic health have become fascinated by autophagy because it appears connected to cellular repair, inflammation reduction, and healthier aging. At the same time, the liver may begin increasing a specialized process known as lipophagy, a mechanism where fat stored inside liver cells can be broken down and used as energy. This is one reason intermittent fasting has attracted so much attention in discussions around fatty liver and metabolic recovery. Instead of constantly storing fuel, the body finally gets an opportunity to clean, organize, and rebalance itself internally. Many people notice that hunger actually becomes more stable here, while mental clarity and energy feel surprisingly consistent. But what happens next is where the story becomes truly remarkable, because the liver, one of the most resilient organs in the human body, now starts shifting into a deeper state of repair and regeneration. Between 18 and 24 hours of fasting, the body enters a stage where many of its repair mechanisms become even more active. Inflammation markers may begin decreasing, insulin levels remain low, and the liver finally gets a rare opportunity to operate without constantly processing incoming food. This matters more than most people realize because the liver is responsible for hundreds of critical metabolic functions every single day. Some studies involving intermittent fasting and fatty liver have shown improvements in liver enzymes like ALT and AST, which are often linked to liver stress and inflammation. In simple terms, the body shifts from non-stop storage mode into a state that favors restoration and metabolic balance. What makes this so fascinating is that the liver is one of the few organs capable of remarkable regeneration under the right conditions. It's almost as if the body has an internal repair protocol waiting for moments of metabolic silence to activate. Many people spend years searching for expensive detoxes, miracle supplements, or complicated health trends without realizing the body already possesses sophisticated healing systems built into its biology. Of course, fasting is not magic, and long-term health still depends on nutrition, sleep, movement, and consistency. But by this point, something important has already happened. The metabolism has remembered how to access stored energy again. And the next challenge becomes just as important as the fast itself, knowing how to break the fast without undoing everything the body worked so hard to activate. After extended fasting, one of the biggest mistakes people make is rewarding themselves with ultra-processed food, sugar, or massive meals loaded with refined carbohydrates. The body has just spent hours lowering insulin, improving metabolic flexibility, and activating fat-burning pathways. So flooding the system with excessive sugar immediately afterward can create a sharp insulin spike that leaves many people feeling bloated, sleepy, and mentally foggy again. It's almost like carefully cleaning an entire room and then throwing garbage back onto the floor 5 minutes later. The first meal after fasting sends a powerful signal to the metabolism, and the quality of that signal matters more than most people think. A smarter approach is breaking the fast slowly with nutrient-dense foods that support stable energy and liver health. Many nutrition specialists recommend combinations like eggs, avocado, olive oil, salmon, vegetables, berries, Greek yogurt, or lightly cooked proteins with healthy fats and fiber. These foods help maintain more stable glucose levels while giving the body essential nutrients for recovery and repair. Drinking enough water and replacing electrolytes can also make a huge difference, especially after longer fasting periods. Interestingly, this is where many people begin noticing something unexpected. Less dependence on constant snacking, more consistent energy, and a completely different relationship with hunger itself. And once someone experiences that shift, they often start realizing the body may have been designed for far more resilience than modern life ever allowed them to discover. What surprises most people is realizing the body was never truly working against them. For years, many individuals blame themselves for low energy, stubborn fat, brain fog, and failed diets, without understanding that their metabolism may have simply forgotten how to switch between fuel sources. The modern world trains people to eat constantly, snack endlessly, and fear hunger as if it were dangerous. But the human body evolved with powerful survival mechanisms that activate precisely during periods without food. And once someone experiences stable energy, mental clarity, reduced cravings, and improved metabolic control, it becomes difficult to look at health the same way ever again. The real question is this: what would happen if the body were finally given enough time to repair itself consistently? How different could someone feel 6 months from now by simply changing when they eat, instead of obsessing over extreme diets and impossible routines? Sometimes the biggest transformation doesn't begin with adding more. It begins with finally allowing the body to pause. So after hearing everything that happens hour by hour during fasting, what surprised you the most? Have you ever tried intermittent fasting before? Or would you be willing to test it after this video? Share your experience in the comments below. And if you want more content about metabolism, longevity, liver health, fat burning, and mental performance, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video.